Hi everyone, my name is Hannah. I go by Microbiologist Mix here on YouTube as well as over on Instagram. This is the channel where I talk about my hobbies related to cross stitch, knitting, crochet, and thrifting. Welcome or welcome back. It is Saturday, January 25th. And I'm overdue for a WIP parade. Although last year my YouTube anniversary is in January, so I like to do my WIP parades in January. So hopefully you're not burnt out on them. I know I'm always down for a WIP parade and watching those. So I hope you enjoy this one. I'm gonna start with a brief introduction because I know that's how lots of people find new channels is seeing that keyword of WIP parade. So as I said, my name is Hannah. I'm 27. I'm a PhD student in microbiology, and that's about it. I have a pretty boring life. Yeah, I live in Iowa. And yeah, this is my second year on Flosstube, and I'm really grateful for the community that I've built here. I've met a lot of friends both on Instagram, in the comments on YouTube, and meeting other floss tubers, but I've also had just a great experience in stitching with local friends as well. So I'm very grateful, and let's dive in to the WIPs and I'll stop talking at you about that. We're gonna go we're gonna go chronologically, oldest to newest. I will be putting up pictures. That's why I'm sort of sitting off center here. So I took everything out of the project bags because I have like these acrylic little labels on each of the zipper pulls on each project bag, and they clank around and are obnoxious. So I took those off, and I just have a stack of WIPs next to me, and I therefore don't have any of the threads or the patterns with the piece. So I will be putting in pictures here. I'll try to remember as many details as I can. I'm sure there'll be mishaps. So if you have any questions about the fabric or thread I'm using, comment or message me and I will get that information to you. Okay, I also have my trusty display board if I remember to use it. I think some of them might not need it, but some might. So starting off strong with my oldest WIP, which is from January 1st, 2014. I'm not sure when I started it in 2014. It's just a placeholder. But this is Lady and the Tramp. Ooh, full disclosure, my fabric is dirty. I used to stitch with this on a scroll rod that I would tape this to. So, yeah, it's dirty on the edges, but who cares? This is Lady and the Tramp, Thomas Kincaid Disney Dreams collection. I feel bad because some people watch like my WIP parade when I talk my very first WIP parade, and then I think the only time I talk about this is in WIP parades, let's be honest. And I get shout outs or mentions in Flosstube sometimes that, oh, this person stitches Disney Dreams. I used to in 2014. I have not put work in on this in so long. Yeah, it's sad. I need to get back to it, but it's just not fun for me to stitch on anymore. I don't know how I got out of this mindset of working on these kits, but the goal is to stitch on this at some point in this year, because I don't even know if I touched it last year. So yeah, this is Lady and the Tramp, Thomas Kincaid Disney Dreams. These are retired kits. I got them when they were still in production, so they weren't crazy amounts of money, and I'm almost halfway. I think that little space is the Siamese cats, which freak me out, but they're going in anyway. And not all Siamese cats, just the Siamese cats from the Lady and the Tramp movie, okay? And yeah, that's how she's looking. All the kit threads, all the kit, everything, the fabric as well. It's a 16 count Aida, so you stitch it with 2 threads, and it's really bulky. It's kind of, it feels like stitching on a tarp, honestly, but we'll plug through, I guess. And this is my second Disney Dreams kit, which I started sometime in 2019. It is Bambi. That's just a needle poking through. And I remember I was really excited to start this, and then I kind of lost steam. I felt like I should finish Lady and the Tramp before I worked on Bambi, but I'll move this over so you can get a full screen look at what it'll look like finished. Again, all of the called for, or all of the kit threads and fabric. That's not even the width of a full page, I don't think. It's like half of a full page. It's split up into, that's another thing. These patterns, they're like maps. You have to fold them out multiple times, and it's not very conducive to stitch on, so I usually take photocopies, but then it's hard to capture like page breaks. I'm always afraid I'm gonna make a mistake. So it's just a lot of work. It's like, it's a totally separate hobby from just the other things. I will show you the other cross stitch patterns. WIP number 3, I do know when I started it. It was December 26th, 2019. This is, I actually have the cover photo here. This is a Dimensions Gold collection. It's retired, but it comes up on eBay. I do see that a lot. And this is Pleasures of Winter. I really like it because it's based on Terry Redlin art. Gotta rep the Iowa people. And this is a kit that is worked with a lot of half stitches. There's some blank space, which in hindsight, I probably would have done this on an even weave because it is on the kit Ada. And I think I would have liked the even weave showing through more than Ada. But I'm not committed to starting over. So that's the cover, and I mean, you can tell what it is. You can see I like the negative space where the geese will be. I'm not back stitching as I go. I started back stitching as I went for the other, the Disney Dreams kits that I showed. But for this one, I'll probably just make myself suffer at the end because there's just so much overlap. And I think I would get lost and forget what I had already backstitched, or a good way to mark that off on a chart, I don't know. So I thought about pulling this out the other day, and then I didn't. I'm really bad. I love working on kits, or I used to, but maybe that will come back to me someday. I don't know. So I think these are all in the same spot as they were last WIP parade and the WIP parade before, but it's all right. Okay, then we're moving on to, and I'll be looking off to the side. I'm sorry if that bothers you. There's no avoiding it. I will forget designers otherwise. This is Shepherd's Song by Plums Samplers. I started in April of 2020. It's very wrinkled, but you get the gist. And this is stitched on an unnamed fabric from Tropical Stitches in 36 count. I'm using all the called for threads. And I was torn I'm always torn whether I should stitch with 1 or 2 threads on 36 count. In this case, I went with 1. So I recharted the words as well. This section, I talk about it every time. This section was supposed to say wrought by and then your initials. I changed it to a continuation of that paraphrased Bible verse. So I think my plan of attack for this was to stitch a chunk of the grass and then the sheep closest to that chunk before I moved any farther in the middle of the pattern. And then to keep up with the border as well. I would love to have this as a finish this year. Although you can see the start of that house. There's multiple chimneys and it's a big house, which I'm also worried it's in a black, and I guess it'll just look prim, and I have to get used to that. You might notice, like, at the start of this WIP parade, my projects have, I would say, a different style. I think I figured out more of what I like to stitch later on, but initially I have not lots of samplers, but more primitive style things, and I drift a little bit away from that lately, but I still love this one. Love that butterfly, and I promise I'll get better about remembering to show cover pictures, because I'm forgetting to leave a space for that at the beginning. I tell you, I get out of practice only filming once a month or once every couple months. So next up we have Noel Sampler by Brenda Gervais. This is also on a Tropical Stitches fabric. This is Gabrielle, and it is, again, 36 count. I think it's a little bit of a tighter weave though, because I'm using one thread and I don't notice it showing as much fabric in the background. This is all DMC, the Call for DMC by Brenda Gervais. I've put in a lot of work on this this winter Christmas season. I think I could finish it. I will finish it this year. I remember working in that house, not this 2024 Jingle Ball, but 2023 Jingle Ball. So I think it's time this one is done. And I think the night I started working on this, I said it was, yeah, it's 2020. Yeah, I started in November 27th of 2020. And it was post-Thanksgiving, we were watching Die Hard. So that's the memory that sticks with me for that one. Then we have another very long lingering WIP that I started January 11th of 2021, because I saw Shiloh X-Stitch MD had started this. I don't know if she still has it as a WIP, but it was a mystery stitch along by Stickadine von der Wierenberg. It's a very contested story, so it was up on their website. It might still be up on their website for purchase. You add it to cart, you complete your purchase, but it won't deliver the files, and then it refunds your purchase. They had issues with copyright infringement and people were ripping off the chart, so it's very sad, but for that reason, I don't have a completed image to show. There used to be a group on Facebook where people would show their updates for this each month as the sections were released, but that is no more, so your guess is as good as mine. I need to finish this so bad. I'm over it. And I've said I'm over it for like the last 3 WIP parades too, so there are little animals in this. I've omitted them because I thought they're cute, but they don't really go with the snowflakes. I think, like, I don't know, the placement for me just wasn't it. So I took out the animals that were in there, and I think I'm gonna add more little snowflakes here and there. In the center, you're supposed to write the word winter and smear crosses. I might find a little quote that I could do 1/1. I don't know, maybe I should just stick to what they're telling me to do, because I'm on the struggle bus hard with this. But I'm stitching this on 40 count. I think it's Woodland. I don't know if it's Witchelt or what. I got it off 1, 2, 3 stitch. That's why it's serged all the way around. You need, if you want to stitch this on a fat quarter, not a fat half, you need to do 46 or 40 or smaller. I think maybe you could fit this on 36. And I just have like 1.5 pages, that corner left basically. I thought I could bust this out in January. I'm not called to do it. I think I just burnt myself out on all those snowflakes, which are gorgeous, but I'm over it. So I'm stitching that with a DMC, I think Blanc, and then I used a color in cotton green for the trees. I think that could be a finish this year too. Hopefully. I don't want to carry it into 2026. Then we have Winter Wonder. This was out of a magazine. I'll put in the cover here. The artist or designer is Barbara Sestock. And I started this in 2021, January 31st. And this is my progress. I'm doing it on a 28 count white even weave because that's all I could find at the time. Joys of 2021. And I'm doing this. They have a option to stitch in anchor, but then they give a DMC conversion. So I'm doing the DMCs. And previously to just a couple weeks ago, I had very little progress on this, but I decided to pull it out to see if I still wanted to keep it around. And I've decided I do. It's a lot of work just reading the pattern out of a magazine because it's a color chart, so you can't really scan it super well and mark and highlight, and it doesn't go in. I haven't had success in getting it into Pattern Keeper or markup, so it's a bit of work to decipher the chart. And there's lots of shading. There's probably 10 shades of blue and white, and it's just a lot of work. And then you have to leave those little dots for the snowflakes are just like blank space. It's the fabric showing through. So the sky, for example, is going to be, I think the trees stop here, and then all the rest of this is fill in of sky and in a light blue. And you can't just, it's not just fill in because you can't just fill it in. You have to account for all those little snowflakes, so you have to count around those, and I'm not looking forward to that. So that's what's holding me up on this one. But I did outline a bunch of the trees, and I put in the cabin this year, or just in the last week or so. And I'm gonna keep it around. Might not be much farther along by the next WIP parade, but I'm not ready to give it up yet, I guess. And then we have another one that's very close to a finish from 2021. This is Autumn Town by Autumn Lane Stitchery. And I dyed my fabric for this myself. As I said, it was very hard to get called for fabrics at that period of time. And I'm using the called for DMC mostly, but I subbed out some of the tree colors for overdyed color and cottons because it's big blocks of color and I wanted to see a little bit of variegation. So hopefully this fabric is looking green. Sometimes it looks brown in certain lights, but it's very like, I think I use green apple Rit, so it's very green apple. I just have some trees and sky and clouds. It's a big chunk of sky at the top, but I think I have 5,000 stitches left in this because it is in Pattern Keeper. And then there's a minimal amount of back stitch, but I don't think it's too much to handle or anything. So this will be a finish this year. I have spoken. Then we have another big project. I wish I liked smalls. This is Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers. I'm stitching it on Bramble, a 40 count. For some reason I have maybe you need a half a yard of this. I should really cut it. But no, that sounds scary. I'm gonna wait till I hit an edge. I think almost 10% on this because I was looking at what WIPs I had that were closest to 10%. At least the ones that I have in Pattern Keeper, so I get stitch counts for. And I was close to that mark, I think. So I'm stitching this in DMC 3021, and which is mine and Cameron's apparently favorite DMC color. And there she is. I kind of wish I had made a more interesting thread choice, but it does look really good. I mean, it'll go anywhere in the house, so. That fabric is looking way more variegated on camera than it does in person, but I'm happy with it. Maybe I'll get all the way across the top this year. That seems like a good goal. And I did get that one. That was a free chart, so that's exciting. Up next, we have the Gather In by Plums Samplers. I'm stitching this on Sand Dollar, 40 count by Be Stitch Me. And to be honest, this is one that I would consider maybe letting go I don't know. I love the chart. I just don't know when I'm ever gonna finish it. But I guess that's okay. You don't have to have a plan for everything. You can sit there. I do have the roof done at least, but that is a big house barn situation. So it's not saying much. And then there's all that grass. I was gonna do cinnamon stars, which is sort of a companion a little bit in that there's like these quilt stars, but I'm gonna let that dream go. I'm good with this. And I'm stitching with this with all the called for threads as well. And then we have another one with not a lot of progress. This is A Perfect World by the Scarlet House. I'm stitching this on a 46 count, Purely Primitive by Silkweaver. And I started at the bottom because I thought if I could conquer that border, everything would be okay. So I started, you can see I started filling in the 310, which is all that background, and I was like, nope. I'm doing this with a DMC, with the call for DMCs, I think. And then some color and cottons. Or maybe this is all, it was charted in overdyes and I'm just using DMC 310 and then color and cottons. I don't remember. I have a frame in mind already for this, and this chart is just a little bit under square, so I'm gonna make, there's a lot of blank space at the top above the house, so I'm gonna push that up a little bit. I think that's why I started at the bottom, because I want it in this black distressed antique frame that I have. It's funny how I can remember exactly what frame is going with some things, not all things, but I do know exactly which frame I'm talking about and where it is, and that'll be far in the future, but I am ready when the day comes that I finish that. Next up is Walk Fast Sampler by Lindy Stitches. I am stitching this on Vanilla Latte 40 count by Be Stitch Me, and I'm using the called for overdyes. That's where I am. I'm excited to stitch the herring. And I know I'm at least 30%. I don't remember the exact percentage. I want to stitch, there was a companion piece. I don't know. I know it went off of Steph's shop for a while. It might be back, I haven't looked, but I want to get another piece of Be Stitch Me fabric in a very dark color to stitch that one so they can be companions. Okay, then we have Ginger Reflection, which is an RTO kit, and I realize now that I've given up on telling you the dates I started it. My last 2021 WIP was Gather In. Now we're into 2022. This is Ginger Reflection. It's an RTO kit. I swapped out the fabric for Picture This plus Murmur, which is an even weave. I think it was 32 count because the kit was supposed to be on a 16 count Ada. I have a little chunk of the corner started. Not too much to write home about, but I like the watercolor look of things in this kit, so. In my mind, it's kind of a fall pattern, but not really. I should just work on it. And I love the effect in the water too, with the back stitch. Looks so good, so. It's another one that I need to work on. Then we have A Summer Kaleidoscope by Modern Folk Embroidery. This is on 56 count because I was ambitious, I guess. And I'm stitching it with a Swasserfine coral color. I have the upper corner. There are over 50,000 stitches in this pattern. I think if I did 2,000 a month or something like this, something like that, I could have it done towards the tail end of next year. 2,000 stitches is a lot, so I don't know. It hasn't gotten, I think I worked on it one day in 2024. So, but it is really dainty and I like it. I don't mind that it's repetitive either. You kind of forget what stitching one motif was like by the time you finish. So I'm not ready to give it up. But I'm not ready to work on it either. And then we have One Nation by Bygone Stitches. And this is on 36 count Boston by Seraphim. I might need the board for this one. Maybe not. I was doing a State and a Star week when I started this in June of 2022. That didn't last incredibly long, as you can see. I'm not really drawn to this one. I know. I did get into markup recently though, so that will make stitching it a lot easier, more motivating, because I know the stitch count now. But I think it would look so good in a frame above. I think there's someone on Instagram who has this above their fireplace that I see a lot in the background of their pictures. Is it Traveling Viking Mama, I think? It's gorgeous, but and this is Autumn Cloche by Hello from Liz Matthews on a 40 count Grandpa's Sleeve by XG Design. Canvas Stitcher and Bridgen, Museum Stitcher, are going to make this a focus piece towards the end of the year. And I told Bridgen at least that I want to join them. So, because this is one that, I mean, it's just really so me, and I want it in my house, and I have a frame in mind. So, I think it's doable. I mean, I conquered one pumpkin. I'm stitching this with most of the called for threads, like the DMCs, and then I'm subbing some color cottons for the big chunks of color. I'm excited to stitch more butterflies. The mushrooms are fun. The spiders are fun. So hopefully that will be finished this year. Up next is Autumn Spirits. This was a leaflet pattern, like a little pamphlet pattern. Don't know who the producer was, by Karen Bodish. I always like showing Karen. Some cool hair. And I picked this up from garage sale, I think. And I'm putting it on an overdyed fabric, so, or hand dyed fabric, Willow, which is a 32 count Stitch Me. And you'll clearly be able to tell that this is a pheasant. I can't even tell which way it's flying. I think this is the under wing. Or no, maybe it's the, that doesn't make sense. Okay, I got it. I'm like, aerodynamically, that's just not making sense. Okay, which way do the feathers go in flight? We have a wing. I was getting frustrated with this one because I'm using the DMCs, they tell me to, but the colors have obviously changed over the years, and the shading isn't quite the same. Like, the browns aren't quite the same. I think it's inverted. Like, what should be the dark brown is actually light in my version. But, I mean, it looks like a pheasant wing, I guess. I'm not ripping that out. I'm not starting over. There's also an error in the chart at a page break, and that was a nightmare. So figuring out how to back stitch this will be interesting, because I think I just had to like go with what I had and sort of make it work, because I had counting errors. I should just move on to the pheasant's head and then count off that and give up on the wings. But I had a little bit more done than I thought. I mean, it's not anything to brag about, but it's not as measly of a start as I thought, I guess. And the background isn't like unmanageable. It's mostly, I mean, the barn and then a lot of back stitch. Doing the fence line will be fun, she said with sarcasm. Okay, now we're getting into Christmas, I guess. This is still in 2022, December 24th, I started Christmas Bell Sampler by Heartstring Sampler on 40 count Rocky Mountain by XG Design. That crease is bad. I'm using Color and Cottons, but I am using the Etoile for the bells, so they do have a little shimmer, which you probably won't be able to pick up, but the border is fun, but it's also very dense. And I do like stitching words, so that part did go pretty fast. I don't know. I didn't stitch on this at all this Christmas. I had other Christmas projects. That's why I feel like I can't have too many Christmas WIPs, because I can only handle a couple, because it's really I only stitch Christmas for like a month, so I need to whittle those down. And this is Quaker Snowflakes by Hello from Liz Matthews. I have been focusing on this a lot recently. I'm stitching it on 36 count Desert Taupe by Color and Cotton. The thread is Chimney Sweep. And I broke it up into 6 parts that I had remaining, because I just had like the top border and a single Quaker motif. So I broke that up into 6 parts, and then I was going to finish a part a week in January and then have this done by the middle of February. I'm actually ahead by 1 part, so I don't know exactly when I'll finish that, but I think I have 1 big Quaker motif and then just a couple of the littler stars, and then you get to start on the trees and the bird and the words glad tidings. So it's really not as big as I thought it would be on 36 count. But I like the sort of, this is as tone on tone as I get. But it is it's not taupe color at all. I was telling someone else that, but it's like a periwinkle kind of. And a navy. I don't do a whole lot of blue, but I really like that. Putting all these WIPs away will be interesting. They're sliding off each other, because it wouldn't be a WIP parade without an avalanche. Okay, and then this is my first WIP of 2023. Beatrix Potter Quaker Sampler. This was a stitch along that Julie of Kansas City in the Colorado World sort of initiated, and this is charted from a reproduction by Stitchy Box Samplers. I'm stitching it on 46 count Heirloom Lace by Color and Cotton. I was in their fabric club for a few months, and I was getting 46 count, so. And I'm stitching this with a Gentle Arts color. It's like a rusty gold. I think I'm almost 30% on this. I was thinking of doing just like maybe a Quaker motif a month, or 2 small ones a month. Doesn't seem unreasonable. I do like Quakers. Sometimes they, I don't know where I was going with that. Sometimes they, I don't know, just make me a little, it's more of a job sometimes, I guess was what I'm trying to say. But I really love the finished piece. And I don't have to frog a lot. Now that I say that, I'm gonna have problems, but I don't usually have counting errors a ton, but whenever I make like my biggest mistakes, 9 times out of 10, it's on a Quaker piece. I don't know what it is. It's something about, yeah, I mean, it's not forgiving, right? It's very symmetrical, so that's, you can. And I like to fix my mistakes. I don't usually fudge things unless it's like really severe and I would have to rip back a ton, but yep, I'm just rambling now. We have up next my first non-kit full coverage. This is charted by Pain Free Crafts. It's called Settling In. The artist is Chris Dunn, who is the artist for Wind in the Willows. If you want to see a really awesome finish of a Chris Dunn piece, go check out Erin's Makes on Instagram. What's this? Where's it kind of this? I'm almost at 10%. I'm stitching this on a 28 count even weave, 1/1. I've been inspired to bring this out, so maybe I'll work on it today. It's a lot of brown, but I don't know, it just looks so good when you have like an object to go pop in, like that lantern was so cool. The picture frame, a basket, whatever that is, I have no idea. I think I have 2 or 3 more pages across the top with like this vine situation, unfortunately. But then underneath is the fireplace, which is another big rock to stitch. Another piece of background. The badger's head is like right there. So I really want to get to that this year. And I want to go across the top first. So, because I feel if I jump to the fun parts, the really colorful parts, then this background will just be that much slower. So I'd like to have more regular progress on my full coverages. I tend to get really excited about them and then go hard in them for a while, and then yeah, progress just dies off. But that was started for my birthday in April of 2023. Then in okay, I guess my next WIP remaining from 2023 is from August. I did start a lot of things between April and August, but I did finish a lot of my 2023 WIPs. But this is Night Signs. Yes, Night Signs by Tiny Modernist. I'm stitching this on 32 count slate by Fabrics by Stephanie, and I'm using a color and cotton conversion. I think I might have been using a couple of the DMCs here and there. This is a 4 pattern series. You can stitch all as one. I'm stitching them separately, and plan is to make little pillows. This is the first one done. I guess this technically isn't I mean, I'm counting it as a WIP. I haven't started the third one. This is the first and the second, the hanging thread. And I haven't started the third, but this will be finished this year. They're only like 2,000 stitches for each square or so, so not bad. Then Exquisite Lace by Works by ABC. This is on 40 count seaweed, and I'm stitching it with DMC 844, which is interesting, which I would say it's a cream color in person, maybe leaning a little bit tan, but when you put in this fabric, it does look like a light grayish green. Like I wouldn't have picked out the green before. Maybe it's just a trick of the eye, but this is where I am. This fabric is everything. I love it so much. It's so pretty. Look at that fabric. I love Works by ABC's lace patterns. I would love to do majestic lace, but it is like double the size stitch count of this at least. So that's probably not gonna happen, but I do love this one, Exquisite Lace. Did not work on that last year, sadly. think my goal this year is just going to be to touch all my WIPs. Like, not necessarily, I never finish that many things per year because I like big projects. But I think it's important just to be working on at least once all my projects. This is Dark Golden Delicious by the Artsy Housewife. Started in September 2023. It is on a hand-dyed 40 count linen. Hand-dyed meaning I dyed it. And it's very dark and dramatic, hence why I'm doing Dark Golden Delicious and not the regular Golden Delicious. I started with a border because it's, I think this is, yeah, this is the right one. I think this is beautiful, but those little wagon wheely star things are a lot of stitches. Lots of color changes, but it's so cool. I don't know if this could be a finish this year, but I could finish the border this year. That's for sure. This is about when Artsy Housewife started popping up everywhere, as she should, and you'll see more WIPs, more Artsy Housewife projects coming up. First, this is Pumpkin House by Hello from Liz Matthews. It is also in a hand-dyed by me fabric. I dip dyed it, as I'll explain, but I'm stitching this with all the DMCs. This is on a 32 count. I first dyed the fabric like a light gray. There's a little bit of modeling in person, it's not really picking up here. And then I prepped some really diluted, although this looks pretty dark still, diluted, like I think it was Evening Blue Rich dye. I might be making up that color name. Some blue, it might have been denim blue, I don't know. Rit, and then I quite literally dunked just half of it. It bled a little bit, but it's cool. I like that. So I got the bottom half done in 2024, started in the house. I'm about halfway through the top half. So I think I'd like to wrap this. I'm not usually a stitching out of season type person, but if I could finish this in autumn time before the fall, like maybe summer time frame, I think that would help me out a lot with seasonal stitching and just being able to work on more things. So. And the house goes surprisingly fast. Like that stonework, I was afraid would take a while, but once you get like the little stones laid out, that pattern, it's just a matter of filling everything in, and it went pretty fast. That's another one I have associated with a movie. I don't know why one of my comfort movies is, I have very strange comfort movies. One of my comfort movies is Shawshank Redemption. And I stitched on this quite a lot while watching that. Whew. We're getting confessional over here, I guess. Okay. Then another Christmas WIP, which is from December of 2023. It's by Shakespeare's Peddler. It says O, like O-H, exclamation point. Can't forget that. It's on 40 count weeks, so I don't like stitching on it because it's the old base, and the roof is ghosty, but it looks old, I guess. I go back and forth between scrapping this and not, but the font is really cute. And I love that song. And the wreaths are really cute. I don't know. The roof, it doesn't really show up any better in person than it does on camera, but I don't know. I think it still looks okay. If it doesn't make it to next WIP parade or doesn't get finished, you know what happened. And then we have another full coverage. This is, has a bit of a story. So There's an artist, Tammy Hunter on Instagram. I think her Instagram handle is Tammy B Hunter Art. I'll have it in the description box if you're interested. She does a lot of like mixed media type art, combining like real pictures, like graphics with painting, and at least I think that's my interpretation of how it's accomplished, but I could be wrong. And I have a French Brittany. His name is Cree, and he didn't do anything. He inspired this piece. Okay. I really like French Brittany's. It's the gist of it. And Tammy Hunter had a piece. She does paintings with bird dogs a lot. So lots of hunting, sporting dogs. And she had a French Brittany painting that I really liked. And at the time I had started another full coverage with American Llewellyn's by Artisy. I think it's called American Llewellyn's on Point, or just Llewellyn's on Point. And I really like Llewellyn's as well. I mean, I like all dogs, but I wanted something more specific to me, I guess, and my puppy. So I asked if I could buy like a digital file of the chart for the purpose of creating a cross stitch pattern out of it, and not for resale, so I can't distribute this or sell this pattern at all. But she agreed, so I paid her for a file of the art, and I converted with max stitch into a full coverage piece. And I think it's coming out pretty well. Like, I could play around in max stitch with the resolution and the number of colors I wanted, so the size, and I settled on something that I think looks good in the mock-up at least. And it has, I mean, I only have a few thousand stitches in right now, but it's blending out well, I think. It's hard to tell. It's just the sky. There's a lot of gray sky in this piece, but I'm happy with it so far. And this is just, I guess, the little chunk I have. I'm doing this on 28 count, even weave over 1. That's my favorite method. I tried, or 25 count over 1, not 28. That's my favorite way to do things. I color complete within a page. But I want to put more work into this so it's like recognizable of what it is. But I think that'll be a ways off because it's a lot of sky. And I started in the top corner, but I'm excited to see that come along, and if it's actually going to pan out how I want it, I think it'll look good. But yeah, that's my second and only non-kit full coverage that I have going. I think that's where I'm going to cap it on the full coverages for now. Unless something like really happens and I break down. But, okay. Then we have Painted Flowers by Shakespeare's Peddler. This is on Picture This Plus. I can never remember the name. I always want to say Midnight, but I don't know if that's it. And I don't have it in my Notion. So, it is 40 count. I do know that because it is hard on the eyes. Because Picture This Plus is a little tight, so. I'm doing this with the call for threads. And I have 1 flower done. Just deceptively large. But I love how it pops on this fabric. I think I want to do this as a long skinny pillow. I think that'd be cool. I wish that one was in Pattern Keeper or something, but it's not. Another artsy housewife. This is Geraldine's Flowers. I'm stitching this on 40 count cinnamon by Be Stitch Me. And I swapped out, I think I'm using 1 or 2 of the call for over dyes, but then I swapped out the rest for color and cotton. And I was working on this just the other night and I finished all the flowers. So I started adding in the vines. I should keep up with the border because it's a really cool border, but it's a little thick. I'm excited to get to the bear though. Geraldine. Okay, and then this is by Living on the Rainbow. They do a lot of three-dimensional sort of finishes. And I had seen Amy Loves Toads stitch a couple other versions of, I think they release these usually as SALs, but they're little like books that you cross stitch the cover and the pages, and they're just so cute. And I've seen Amy do at least one of the other ones, or maybe there was two. That were sort of like witchy, spooky themed. This one was called the Fungi Book Sal, and I started it in 2024, and I'm still on the cover. So I have the spine done. I started on the cover. There's supposed to be Kreinik. I just used, what's that the stuff they sell at Hobby Lobby. Is it a toile? Whatever it is, it's not very easy to stitch with. But I'm using Ada for the cover because it's just completely full coverage. And then I bought the supply pack from their Etsy shop. So I have the called for vintage country mocha for the pages. And I think if I broke this up into like, okay, I could finish this side in January, this side in February, and then a page a month, because the pages aren't as dense, obviously, as this full coverage cover. I think I could finish that this year. I don't think that's a crazy expectation for myself, but we'll see. Okay, there's a needle gonna stab me. This is Summer Plums by Artsy Housewife. I am in her Patreon. So this came out, I think, in June timeframe of 2024. And I'm stitching this on an even weave that I dyed myself. 28 count. I'm stitching it over one. So it is tiny. The little moon. Anything with a moon, if you want me to stitch your pattern, put a moon in it. I will stitch it. So it's going to be adorably tiny. Like, that's the width. I don't know what the height will be, but it's so small. And I like that dye. I don't think I can dye job. I don't think I could ever repeat that. It's like it's a brown but gray. I don't know. Okay, we're nearing the somewhat end here. Okay, I have 3 left. So this was a start in December during Jingle Ball weekend. And it is Christmas Morning by Erin Elizabeth. I'm stitching it on 36 count. Just a linen I got, I think it was just a scrap, and then I tea dyed it because it was like luminescent white and I wanted something a little bit dulled down. So I did that, and then I'm stitching it with Forest Blade by General Arts. And I think I have like 1,000 stitches. There's only 6,000 stitches in this chart. It's not as big as I thought it looked, so. And I love how the image like pops through the back. That is cool. Second to last, we have Stars and Snowflakes by Lindy Stitches. This was a Jingle Ball exclusive for this year. And another way to get me to stitch a pattern, if there are geese in it, I will stitch it. This has geese and a moon, so double the incentive. And this is on a 36 count solo die by Color and Cotton. And I am doing 2 threads because Lindy Stitches does really amazing colors and I wanted it to pop. So it's very vibrant. And I got a decent way through it. I wanted to get 2 goose this year. I didn't. or in 2024, I didn't quite get to a goose. I mean, that brown part is not a shark fin, it is the wing of a goose, so. I debated just keeping this out because, I mean, Santa's there and everything, but it seems like wintry to me too, not strictly Christmas. Santa could just be running late, you know. And I'm excited to get to that beautiful teal house. Okay, so this was my New Year's Eve start for 2024. I've wanted to stitch it for forever. I don't know why I was like making myself wait. That's silly. This is Winter Wheat. I'm stitching it on by Color and Cotton, 40 count, and I'm using the NPI Silk. I don't even know if I said the pattern. It says White Winter Moth by Kathy Barrick. I'm almost 25%. Like, this was just over a couple days. Like, I got into this, so. There's like a rusty color in it for like the flower buds, and there's like a little crow or something. And I think I want to swap that out for like a mossy or like maybe pea soup green. I think that'd be cute. Or maybe pink. I don't know. I'm just not feeling like the like rusty color for this one. Although I love that color, but I don't know. So you'll be seeing more progress on that. I guess we never did use the board, did we? I don't know why I went to the trouble of making this. I have never once used it. It's like yeah, just a piece of foam core with batting, and then I did the Lori Holt fabric edging tutorial. It looks nice, but never used it. So thank you so much for sticking with me. I'm out of practice, definitely, in filming, but I had fun. I always like getting everything out, and now I can actually inventory like what DMCs are with what projects and add that to my Notion, because I want to have a full set of DMC. I am 100 DMC colors away from having a full set. I got one of those Bisley containers for Christmas, and I already have the Adam Hart thread drops, my DMC, existing DMC on those, and then I have foam inserts to put the Lola Crow Adam Hart thread bobbins in. So I'm excited. I want a full set. I can't believe I'm still 100 DMC away from a full set. I mean, I'm sure they're all in like my full coverage projects or something, but I want a standalone full set, I guess, that I can pull from. So I might go through and decide, or yeah, identify what projects have what threads. So that's on the agenda for the rest of today. I'll get this edited and up as soon as possible. Yeah. Thanks to all my viewers and for leaving such nice comments. I love talking to you. Tell me what you were working on during this WIP parade. I think it's my longest one ever. Almost got to an hour. 57 minutes. Maybe I'll go over with my intro. Probably not. Okay. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day and you got some time in with your hobbies. And until the next one, take care. Bye.